The end of the season is coming soon, and you can see it. The pressure is starting to get to some teams. In France, PSG and Lens did the job this weekend. No trouble, big wins for both teams. But behind them, Marseille and Lyon both lost, and both are looking at risk of putting together a great bottle job in the race for the Champions League. So let's dive into what those teams did. So this weekend, Marseille and Lyon, the two teams were playing at home, both of them against direct competitors in the race for the Champions League. Lyon was playing at home against on-form team Monaco, who PSG fans will know very well, are doing extremely well right now, putting together an impressive string on form. And Marseille, on their side, are continuing their race to the bottom, and we're facing Lille in Marseille. Both teams, Marseille and Lyon, ended up losing, both by the same score, 2-1, in games that were still slightly different in terms of how they played out. Marseille looked very shaky, if I'm honest, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a PSG fan. I think the team is still not completely over the trauma of losing in the Champions League, of losing big time against Paris, of losing their coach. They also lost their president today. Pablo Longoria officially out, which was in the water and was meant to happen for the last couple of weeks. It's a club and a team that's perpetually in shambles. They never disappoint. The great spectacle, the great circus of the south of France. In this game against Lille, they clearly were at a deficit in terms of impact and in terms of aggressivity, in the best sense of the word. They're a team that really has lost its mojo. They tried to look like something for a while. I think early in the first half, they were kind of level. They did manage to score the first goal, but ultimately in the second half, Lille raised their level, especially in midfield, and Marseille was left with really no option to cope and just couldn't match up. Lille managing to score 2 goals in the second half and getting the win. And I think, Marseille crumbling pretty significantly against pressure. Lyon, on their side, like I said, it played out a little bit differently in the sense that Lyon actually look very competitive, and their opponent Monaco is really like probably the most difficult team to play in Ligue 1 right now. So you've got to give them that. They did score the first goal as well, but then Monaco managed to turn it around as well in the second half and score 2 goals. But the game looked a lot more even, and I think Lyon would have gone into it really not being a favorite, but still showed a lot of spirit and a lot of pluck, knowing that they've got a very, very young squad. They still managed to really put up a fight against Monaco. Ultimately, Monaco gets the win. A few questionable refereeing decisions in this game. Monaco got awarded a penalty, which is really debatable. Tagliafico of Lyon managed to get himself sent off on a red card around the 85th minute, on a very well-deserved red card. The Argentinian butcher, never disappointing. But ultimately, Akliouche in this game in particular did extremely well. So the Monaco's right winger, who's been tied to PSG in the past, is really hitting form right now, and is looking, honestly, in this game, he was looking really interesting. So now the word is starting to come back, whether PSG is going to go back for him, whether we're going to have interest for him in the summer. Early to say for now, but for sure, he's looking pretty good. And so I think, for all of those teams, those 2 results are very interesting because now those 4 teams are within 3 points of each other. In the Ligue 1 rankings, Marseille and Lyon sit level on point. Marseille has 49 points. Lyon and Lille are even on point at 47, and Monaco is at 46. So literally those 4 teams are within 3 points of each other, with Monaco and Lille having more momentum going into it than Lyon and Marseille. And what's really interesting as well is that all of those teams have big games coming up, and in the next game, which is just after the international window, Marseille is going to be playing in Monaco, which is going to be very interesting for the Marseille team. And Lille is actually hosting Lens. So that's going to be a tough one for them, and hopefully they can get some points away from Lens on this one. And then Lyon still has to play us, which will happen right after our Champions League quarterfinal, and they also play Lens on the last day of the season. So there's still a lot of top of the table clashes, and I think like a lot of opportunities for those teams to either impress or drop some points, make some mistakes, and so on. And so ultimately, the race for the Champions League, it's going to be tight. It's going to be super tight. Ligue 1 is very competitive this year, both at the top of the table, but also for the European slots. And I think, teams like Marseille, like Lyon, who had really impressive first half of the seasons or early part of the year, now they're really feeling the pinch, feeling the pressure. The season goes on, and they're going to need to summon some sort of new form to get themselves over the finish line. And beyond that, just looking at what else is happening in Ligue 1, there were a couple of interesting results at the bottom of the table as well. First, Strasbourg managed to get a last-minute win over relegation candidate Nantes. Panicelli scoring twice off of the bench to get the win. Panicelli of Strasbourg now the top goal scorer in Ligue 1. Nantes still in 17th position, and so right now in a relegation spot, but looked relatively competitive against Strasbourg, so hopefully they can produce something. Auxerre managed to get a result as well, which sees them move into a playoff position for the relegation. And then Paris FC managed to get the win against relegation also opponent Le Havre. 3-1 win with the first goal in Paris for Ciro Immobile, who signed in the winter, and so that kind of puts them in the safe zone. 31 points, more than 9 points ahead of Auxerre. Yeah, they're looking good for staying in the top flight this year, Paris FC, and so should be all good. So this is kind of where we stand in Ligue 1 at the end of this 27th day of competition. Pressure is piling on, and we're gonna have to stay tuned because it's gonna be an interesting end of the season. So for now, let me know in the comment, what do you make of Marseille and Lyon's fall from grace? Do you think they have what it takes to rebound and kind of gather enough points to stay in a Champions League qualifying place, or is the charge from Lille and Monaco and other teams below them, is it going to be too much for them to take on? Let me know in the comment what you think of that. As always, if you've made it this far into the video, please drop a like, massively helps. Subscribe to the channel for the top PSG news, Ligue 1 news, football news on YouTube every day right here in English. And as always, even if it's Marseille and Lyon, don't forget that ici c'est Paris!